You might be thinking that, oh, maybe I'll just get married because you are finally perceived as independent from your parents. Surely that's going to shut your parents up, right? Because you're an adult now. Or you might be thinking that being financially independent, you finally have the money to move out from your parents' house. It means that you're not constantly like that, or you move abroad. If you're as far away as possible from your parents, then again, they can't control you. They don't know what I'm going to choose to take out from my closet if I'm living so far away from them. Now, here comes the difficult part. Doing all those things are not going to liberate you from your parents. I actually interviewed quite a few people. These are the things that these people told me. And here's the thing. The basis of all these strategies, it's going to help you only to some extent. Because while you may be physically far away from them, while you may not have that direct contact every day, if you still have certain beliefs about them and yourself, they will still be able to control you. You will still feel this feeling of constriction, this feeling that you have to do things that they want instead of what you want. If you have these stories about yourself when you do certain things, like for example, if you still have the belief that there's a hierarchy, right? Your parents are above your children. You still believe that. And so even if you get married, even if the 3D reality changes, it doesn't mean that internally everything is going to follow. If you have enough money, right, to be financially dependent from them, it doesn't mean that it's going to liberate you emotionally. Because we still have emotional attachments. Being physically far away from them is not necessarily going to get rid of those emotions that actually come from the belief system that has been instilled within you by them or by society or by culture. If you're still struggling with this, then there is most probably going to be an emotional attachment. Our parents have such a big role within all of our lives. And I believe that because even if, you didn't actually grow up with your parents, there is some study that suggests that we were born with separation anxiety. When we come out of someone's wombs, we were one with the person that birthed us. And so when we were physically detached from them, we immediately develop this separation anxiety. So there's a lot of things, that needs to be cleared. This relationship, parent and child relationship, is so emotionally charged. There's a lot of, scripts and, rules, right, about how parents and children needs to be. It's talked about in the media. It's subtly symbolized. It's coded in everything that we see in the world. So these are really, really difficult bonds to detach yourself from. So just because you're not living in the same roof as them, even if you stop contacting them, you're maybe not even in contact with all of society, you live alone in the forest or whatever that is, right? You might still feel that guilt. You might still be bothered by these questionings of am I doing the right thing? Am I a bad person now because I'm not in contact with my parents? All those things don't go away with them, or they don't live just in your house or in a certain location. Just because you are physically far away from them, it doesn't mean that your parents can't contact you. It doesn't mean that they're going to not be able to communicate with you. We have phones now. right? You're just a call away. They are just a call away. They're just a text away. And again, if you don't already have this sense of groundedness within yourself, here's the thing, like, they can just still bother you through our phones. Or maybe if they're on social media, through social media. Or maybe like you have a social media platform and you want to create, right? You're still going to be like scared of posting. And don't get me wrong, changing things in the physical does help your internal system to kind of match and register that, like, oh, actually I'm this type of person, that type of person. It does help, but it's not a guarantee. If you still have these unhealed emotions, if you still have these certain beliefs, then that's what you are going to follow, especially if you still go about the motions of your life without being very hyper aware about it. You don't have to be hyper aware about it, but like you're just kind of going through the motions of your old habits, right? Because most of us, our lives are actually nothing new. You know, we have, I forgot the percentage, but it's like a really, really high percentage. Something like 70% of the thoughts that we have every day are just copies. Like, we have had those thoughts before. It's not new. So if you don't have that awareness, then a part of you is still going to do whatever it is that you have been doing in your life, which is following whatever the fuck your parents tell you to do. If you also have an unhealed inner child, if you're not even aware that you have an inner child, even though I feel like if you're watching my videos, you probably are aware to some extent, but if you haven't harnessed that awareness every time your inner child is actually steering the wheel for you, then you're still going to be trapped within your inner child's control. Because when you were young, that's what you knew. Your inner child only knows that they can only be treated in a shitty way, right? Because that's how your parents treated you, in a shitty way. So that's all they know. They don't know any different. If your inner child doesn't even know that you're actually an adult now, this is one of the things that is talked about in the internal family systems coined by Richard Schwartz. He suggests that we have different parts of ourselves, and those different parts usually are trying to protect us, and it thinks that we are still young and we need to be protected, and it's not aware. Like, you can talk to those different parts, and if you tell those parts that, like, hey, I'm actually 34 years old now, did you know that? And your part is gonna be like, what the fuck, I thought you were still 8. You know, it's not, it doesn't have that sophisticated awareness that we do now as an adult. If everything is tracking at the moment, you can totally relate to everything that I'm saying, and you want to finally break free from your parents, and you want to know exactly what these beliefs are, because again, as always, awareness is always the first step. Knowing your tendencies, knowing what your beliefs are. When you know what those things are, you can then tackle them appropriately. And doing these things are not a small feat. And that is why I offer break the cycle game plans for you who want to break these cycles that you have been living in. We're going to have a 30-minute call. This is free, by the way. This is free. All you need to do is just sign up to my mailing list. It's in the description box down below. We'll figure out a game plan for you to finally break the cycles and actually break free from your parents' control. It doesn't even have to be your parents. If you have like a not so good relationship with yourself, that's something that I can help as well. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I'll see you there in the 30-minute call. Bye.